then we'll move on to the ever-increasing and expanding pile of questions from the usual suspects. First, into the please hold, shoot 'em up barrel is, where's your facts? Daniel F., who asked about the total coincidence of TMNT having a crossover with Naruto around the possibly same time as Narutobus hitting the stands. Dave's thoughts, comments. And Daniel wrote, hello, Dave. You may all be aware of this. IDW Publishing announced that they will be collaborating with Viz Media to do a TMNT 4-issue comic run with none other than Naruto. The first issue will release November 13th. Interesting how another certain independent black and white comic will also be releasing a Naruto crossover later this year. Coincidence? Entirely possible. Well, it's not actually a Naruto crossover. It's a Naruto parody, and we definitely have to draw a distinction between a crossover authorized and signed off on by good corporate folks who own Naruto, and some wacky Canadian just making fun of it. Coincidence? Entirely possible. I think maybe it's a coincidence, but it's also, I think, probably part of God's clockwork mechanism in terms of just about the same time that I was going, well, okay, Kimbo was fun, and, it was, I definitely heard of Akira. This time I'm going to go to Looking for Heroes and ask the guys down there, what's my next manga parody? Sort of like gesturing at their partial wall full of manga, and which would you pick as the most popular book to do a parody of? And Naruto was definitely, if it wasn't at the top of their list, it was in the top 2. So being completely manga ignorant myself, it was very interesting holding a book in my hand and going, okay, so in terms of this massive industry, this is at the John Lennon's phrase, the toppermost of the poppermost, and very interesting to go, well, I've never heard of it, but I'll take your word for it. The article I included mentions previous Naruto and TMNT collaborations through the box lunch retail chain for some form of merchandise. That's interesting. I suppose people love those ninjas working together. Would love to see Cerebus beat the Turtles to the comic book shelf before the end of the year. Stranger things have happened. It was looking as if the Ninja High School Cerebus crossover wasn't going to happen, and then looked like it was going to happen, and then looked like it wasn't going to happen again. At one point, I was saying to Ben Dunn, it's this is your Cerebus is not really familiar to me as my Cerebus, and your Red Sophia isn't familiar to me as my Red Sophia. Why don't you just do your own Cerebus and Red Sophia crossover and do your versions? It's like I've never sued anybody for using my characters, and I certainly wouldn't start with you. And it was like, you mean you don't want to do a crossover? It's like, okay, let's not keep going around this circle. Send me an outline, and I'll take a look at it. And then it's like I looked at the outline and I went, okay, I can't really visualize this. Can you thumbnail it? And then he thumbnailed it, and I went, okay, I got to go find the script so I can see where it applies to the thumbnails. And I'm going, I'm not really sure that I see this the way he sees this, but I think maybe I can turn this into something that we both will be able to see one page at a time. And now I'm working. I just finished page 13, and he's sent me a partial page 24. He's working on 7 through 12. I've already done my side of 1 through 6. And if you had told me, even like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, this is where you're going to be the 1st of August, I would have said, you're crazy. You're dreaming with your eyes open. And it's like, and you'll be further along with this in terms of making progress than you're going to be with Narutobus. And it's like, you're crazy. Narutobus is done. So it's the old story. Know how to make God laugh. Tell him your plans. Just out of curiosity, have you received any threat of legal action for parody since Wolveroach? I don't want to give anyone any ideas, but I wonder if a similar independent black and white comic doing a parody of the same manga character around the same time as a major crossover like this would be noticed by the Viz Media legal team. Not bloody likely, I say. And yeah, I'll go along with that. I think the bottom line on this one is that I think the First Amendment, the United States Constitution, and all Supreme Court decisions on its limits, which, if you want a bottom line on that one, is there are virtually none. You better have a very good reason for encroaching or even creeping up next to anyone else's First Amendment rights, is becoming a globally acknowledged, we hold these truths to be self-evident reality after 200 years. Took 200 years to get here, but I think we are here. So good for us, and particularly good for the United States of America founding fathers for understanding, okay, if you're ordering a society and you're trying to keep it from hitting the same rocks and shoals all other societies have hit over the course of human history, this is not only important, this is the First Amendment. You have to start with this, and nothing else is going to work until you get it through your thick skull that this has to work as a universal concept. And that was a major selling job in the United States of America for, decades, if not a century, if not more than a century. Wolveroach and Cerebus in Hell with a question mark have both pushed the limits of parody as protected speech, which conforms, I think, to God's intention with free will, that this is what he wants. He wants free will to express itself, and everything that human beings can do to make sure that free will is not encroached upon, but is allowed everybody within limits, but within very, very narrow limits. Probably the best way to put it is parody has great power. And as Stan Lee pointed out, with great power comes great responsibility. But everyone has to decide for themselves what that responsibility is, knowing that they have to face the consequences on Judgment Day as to whether they were right, as to this is the responsible way to do this. Which segues, coincidentally enough, into Mike Sewell's question.